What is Kundalini? Let's give it a brief outline, simply for those who, let's say, come from very different cultural background, although it's hard to believe that anyone out there who is remotely interested in spirituality haven't come across that term. This is a very different situation today, but still. So, depending on the tradition or the context of use, the term Kundalini can be used as an adjective, verb, or a noun. So, respectively, it could mean a deep pit, a bowl, kunda, or a coiled one, where and how it is most commonly translated, with this mythological connotation with it associated with the serpent, or a ring-shaped one, circular one. So these are the principal, let's say, etymological connotations of the term Kundalini. The term itself, although could be traced to the Upanishads, to my memory, to my knowledge, going as far back as 6th, 7th centuries before Common Era, haven't been found in prior literature in Indian subcontinent. And the reasons for that are various, primarily because there was another term that stood for Kundalini, which is more ancient term, which was simply known as Vak, spelled as V-A, or transliterated rather as V-A-C, or sometimes as V-A-K-H, Vak, or Vak. Vak is translated from Sanskrit as speech, sound, at times spoken in terms of the very, very primordial quality of the goddess of speech. So these are the connotations with which the term was known for, or rather the associative power of what Kundalini is known for. And it will become clearer as we speak the importance of that association with the sound, between Kundalini and the sound. So understanding Kundalini, in my perspective, in years of delving into this, is inseparable and impossible without proper understanding of the, let's say, main metaphysical perspective with which Indian tradition is known for, irrespective for its very rich variety of forms of how it is known. And it is that between, let's say, unmanifest, absolute, and manifest reality that we speak of, there always has been this creative tension in terms of what's real, what's unreal, how it sits in relation to each other. And that whole dance of subject and object, that whole dance of the spirit and matter, the whole dance of Shiva Shakti, the whole dance of this, let's say, dyadic relationship, present itself a very, very direct and very helpful picture where absolute or being manifests through sound vibration. In Indian language, in Sanskrit language, known as pranav or pranava, or at times referred to as nad or nada, which gives rise in turn to prana. So prana, and in English language, prana often translated as life force or movement, pneuma from the ancient Greek. Prana is then known as all-pervasive quality of awareness, which serves as the link between transcendental and manifest reality. This is very, very important. It's so important that let me give this point of reference, that when I was invited to speak on up and rising, let's say, spiritual platform back in the day, some 10 years over ago, in thinking in advance what would be the most important theme to address, and this was my second presentation on request from the audiences that were, let's say, liked the first one, I thought I would deliver this under the theme of consciousness and prana, or prana and consciousness. It is still available in transcribed form on our website, I believe, in our journal. I highly recommend you to check it out, because it speaks about the fundamentals if one wants to understand the metaphysical perspective, irrespective of whether one leans towards, let's say, point of view of shunya as an emptiness, void, or which is prevalent in Buddhist teachings, or the perspective of appearance with which the Advaita Vedanta postulates, or one feels much more at home in tantric teachings, in particular Kashmir Shaiva Tantra, which have been chosen as an umbrella for our own work. It doesn't matter, because it speaks to the importance of this understanding of what prana is. And to me, it was absent in the, let's say, larger conversation out there, at least at the in time and day when I have entered the circles. So, the importance of prana. In other words, we can never understand what Kundalini is unless we first understand and inquire what serves as a link between the unmanifest, absolute, universal awareness and this manifest reality, this daily interactions, this embodied experience that we all have and share. And prana is that link that pervades it all. So this is very important entrance point to give us that kind of, let's say, opening into the theme itself. So I would like to read the excerpt, one single sentence from Trika Shaiva text attributed to Kalata. At first, consciousness transforms into pranas, which depicts the life force as the first emanation of consciousness, as simple as that. You see? And Kundalini, in turn, as the life force, therefore, is both transcendental and embodied. So this is where we invited to embrace, or at least sit on the paradox when it comes to the understanding of the term Kundalini. Understanding, just understanding, first and foremost, because it's very, very important to understand here that Kundalini here represents consciousness at that very, very fine point of balance where it is both transcendental and embodied. It is both at once. But what gives us a particular, let's say, view of reality, what gives us this experience here and now, is where the attention of Kundalini, as it were, is. It's as simple as that. But, of course, this would need to be developed further so as not to just take it for granted. So, we have established now that Kundalini itself is a manifestation of the vibratory power of sound. So this, as sometimes flow out of my mouth, this saying that universe essentially is Shiva humming its own name to itself, or to himself. And that's what Kundalini is. Kundalini is that hum, is that resonance, is this sound vibrations emanating from the heart of awareness. This is, I would say, the beginning of the understanding of the phenomenology of what we are dealing here with, even if we are quite liberally using so far traditional understanding and even traditional or leaning on a traditional language. So these sound vibrations, frequencies, that's what Kundalini is. Hence the reference to the earlier term prior to use, which was, as now you may already remember, Vak, speech, or the goddess of speech, before it was replaced by later form Saraswati, that is today known by all Hindus, the goddess of knowledge, the goddess of speech, the goddess of all the arts as we know them. But prior to that, that ancient term Vak stood for that power of Shakti as the power of speech, power of vibration. And that's what Kundalini in essence is. It's the frequencies, degrees of vibration that crystallizes this, morphs something into how it appears in the matrix of our perception. So the perceptual capacity, the perceptual ability itself, it's checked by the frequencies that the Kundalini generates, even or perhaps above all else, when she is spoken to be in the state of homeostasis, in that dormant state. In classical Indian literature, often referred to as, or at times referred to as, sleeping serpent. Sleeping, of course, to be understood maybe more like slumbering, having that nap. It's not sleeping in terms of being unconscious, although it is indeed in that state utterly and entirely unconscious to its own power.